John Serenitas, and this is my first of two UNH specific interviews tonight. I'm now joined by offensive lineman Osho Omoyeni from UNH. And Osho, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for taking the time, brother. Appreciate it. Kyle Lepkowski, tight end, is scheduled to join me next. And Osho, we do these field of draft shows because one of the things in New England football that we try to do is we really want to highlight our local prospects, our local NFL draft prospects, give them even more attention than they've gotten already because we feel that there's a lot of talent in New England that's capable of playing professional football, whether it be in the NFL or other leagues. Now, when I look at UNH this year, this is a pretty good crop of NFL caliber talent you guys have. Obviously, Dylan Lobby's getting a lot of the attention, but yourself, Kyle Lepkowski, who I'll have next, Randall Harris, Huron Morris. So there's five guys there that, to me, I think can play at the next level and have success. Let's start there. I want to talk about how you ended up at UNH, but let's start with your football journey. How did you get into playing football? What was your high school experience like, and how did you end up at UNH?
Yeah, kind of a different journey for me, just because I actually grew up just playing soccer and basketball. Um, Coming from Lowell, I made the switch to go to Central Catholic just because I used to go to all the basketball games. Started when I was younger. My dad brought me to a Lowell Central Catholic basketball game at the old um, gym at Lowell High, and since then I kind of was just in love with the school. So by the time I got there, a couple of the kids that I was going there with from Lowell were obviously football guys. So I found my way to the freshman team, and I actually was not a fan of football at first. I hadn't really grown into my body yet. I was kind of like a shorter, chunkier kid. So it wasn't really something that I picked up supernaturally. The one thing I will say is like defensive line was something I liked playing. I just wasn't much better than any of the guys that we had on the team. So my sophomore year, I actually ended up injuring myself playing basketball right before the start of the season. So the coach A, I'm sure you were familiar with Chuck
Oh,
Adamopoulos.
yeah.
Yeah,
The
he basically,
legendary Chuck Adamopoulos,
yeah,
fellow
man,
Greek.
the legend, man. He basically sat me down and he was like, "How many 6 foot 6'1" power forwards do you see in the NBA at the time?" And I was like, "I mean, there's obviously none." So that's kind of when he put on my plate that football is something that could change my life. So that's kind of when, coming off that injury, he was like, start snapping the football and all that. He kind of had the vision before even myself. I had it, and I basically give all the glory to him as well as Coach Finneran. He was actually a UNH guy. He played up there with his brother, so he kind of also put it in my head that if this is something that you take serious, like it can seriously change your life. And my junior year, when I came back off the injury, I wasn't anything special. Obviously, was I grew into myself a little bit, found the weight room, and I had some flashes on film, like just basically enough to get me in the door. But another person that helped me along the way is one of my best friends. Brett Edwards was actually committed. He was the quarterback at Central our sophomore year and junior year. So he was committed to UNH. So he basically just like piggybacked me to the coaches and were basically like, yeah, you got to look at this kid. Like, and that winter was kind of when my recruiting started. And then I did my little 1-day tour of camps that summer, and by the time I got my first scholarship offer, my mom's was basically just like, "You got to take it. Like you got to take the best one that you got." So UNH came calling, and at the time it was the 15-year playoff streak. All that I went up to the school. The game day was it was something I hadn't experienced. So I fell in love with the program, the school. Coach Mack was one of the also the biggest deciders in my decision. He's one of those people who you can kind of just feel it when he comes in the room that he's there to make an impact on you, not only as a football player but as a young man. And that's something that my mom felt as well. So it was kind of an easy choice by that point. I had a couple other schools come my senior year. Just by that time, loyalty, something that, you know what I'm saying, I was raised in and everything like that. It was only a verbal commitment, and I know like with how the transfer portal and NIL and high school money, all that type of stuff is now, like it's probably a completely different world. But in my head back then, there wasn't really something that I was gonna go back on. So yeah, I was
And
just
you mentioned You mentioned playing for Coach Mack, obviously legendary coach at UNH.
Another one,
He
yeah.
he retires and Ricky Santos takes over, and of course, legendary player at UNH. And he's been a part of the program for a long time as a player and as an assistant coach. What was that transition like, getting an opportunity to play for him, and what's it been like playing for him the last couple of years as the head coach?
Yeah, so the transition, we kind of got a little taste of it. I don't know if you remember that. I think it was the 2019 season.
Yeah, he was the interim.
Yeah, when Coach Matt got sick, he came in as the interim head coach. So that was kind of our first taste of, I guess, the similarities of the culture behind the type of energy that they both bring, but the differences and kind of just how they executed as coaches. So when Santos really took over, I guess like officially, I would say, because he was kind of always around and you kind of could feel it at the same time. But it was just like if Mac is in the room, it's Mac's room. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't
Right.
matter what anybody else says. So by the time it was officially Santos's, it was kind of kind of just like not a weight off, but in a way it was. It's something that you're always looking over your shoulder with Coach Mac, and I always say it's for the better. Because he just keeps you on point, and that's the biggest thing with football. Like you got to be on point at all times. It doesn't matter first down, second down. You just in the locker room, you walking down Main Street, like he's gonna keep you on point. But with Santos, it was more you could kind of just play a little freer, kind of let your emotions and everything else come out a little more naturally. And coming out of COVID, I think it was something that we definitely needed. And we always knew we had a lot of talent. It was just difficult for us to put it together for a long time. With the COVID, people missing games, injuries. A couple people caught the injury bug that, like the coaches and the program had invested a lot of time and effort into. So by the time Santos took over, it was a lot of people just ready to go out there and play ball, which is kind of what I think happened in that 22 season where we made our run, especially coming off that 3-8 season. It was a lot of bad blood that we felt like we didn't have the chance to control. And when that 22 season, it was like new coach, new everything, like all bets are off, like for us. And I think Santos did a good job embracing that as well. Not that he played into it, but he kind of was. He was like, if this is what y'all want to do, like it better be. You know what I'm saying? We better be going out there and winning games. Like it was kind of like he let us know he was loosening up the leash a little bit, and it was kind of like some don't spoil it for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Don't be the guy who does a little too much or does this on the side but doesn't take care of his business in the classroom and on the field. So I think it was a healthy balance for us, especially I'll say it again, but coming out of that COVID, like it was kind of just like it was a bunch of like hungry, you know what I'm saying, dogs in a cage.
Right.
And Santos, he kind of had that special key where he let us, you know what I'm saying, it was a little more swag to us, a little more.
Oh, absolutely. He definitely has plenty of swag. I mean,
Yeah,
I remember him when he played at Bellingham High School. So
yeah, most definitely.
he
So
had swagger back then too.
yeah, I know he did. So that was the biggest difference. Is it just gave the team a little bit of a different attitude. And at the time for the run that we were trying to make, everybody was counting us out, telling us we weren't even going to win any games that year. So it was kind of just like it all played into each other, and it kind of created what y'all saw in that 22 season.
And you know, obviously, you went on to have a stellar career, UNH All Conference performer. When did you know that you can play at the next level? That this wasn't just going to be a college deal? That, you know what, like countless kids out there, you were going to have an opportunity to realize your dream, which came later in life because, as you mentioned, you weren't a football player as a kid.
For me, it was probably so I got a chance to kind of get in the game early, and the CAA has actually produced a couple guys that I got to see personally that went on to play at the next level. So that was kind of when I first started, I guess, getting that confidence in myself. Um, you know what I'm saying? Just seeing D linemen that, not that I didn't think, I obviously thought they were just, you know what I'm saying, off the wall type of players, but it wasn't like something that I didn't feel like I could handle. You know what I'm saying? Because I had to play the whole game against them. So that was kind of the first thing that gives you momentum is just the competition that you see in the league. Lucky enough to play in the CAA, and especially at D line, the last couple of years they've produced a bunch of good players that not only make it to the league but also have some sort of impact. And then also when I started jumping around positions, that was kind of when my momentum started. Just because it's obviously something that you think yourself is not that difficult, but as a football player, it's kind of something that you got to take. And you know what I'm saying? If you want me to play there, I go play there. If you want me to go play there, I play there. But then to be able to have some sort of success at the different spots and jump around and doing all that in practice, like people don't see that during the week as well, where I was starting at left tackle, but I'm still handling the center reps. And to be able to make that jump kind of seamlessly, it kind of just gave me the confidence that this is, you know what I'm saying, this is something that I'm actually not only good at, that I was able to get to this level, but I'm also kind of taking that next step above everybody else that's here with me. And it's something that I kind of got not obsessed with, but in the COVID and stuff like that, we just had a lot of time. And that was kind of when I put my brain to it, where I was like, if everybody else isn't doing this, I'm going to do this if I want to keep separating myself. So I basically just trusted that. And I wanted to just see where the work took me. And when I got hurt this year, I kind of had it in my head that this might not be for me. Just because all year I was pretty focused on it, like the stuff that I was putting on tape. I was trying to show my versatility. I was also trying to show any things that I felt like my junior year tape wasn't showing, just because it was my first year playing consecutive at the same position. But yeah, just being intentional about what I was doing on the field in practice to make sure that I was ready to take that next step.
And obviously, you mentioned your versatility. And that's a big part of it in the NFL today. You only have the opportunity to carry most weeks 6 or 7 offensive line, and maybe 8. A lot of teams are carrying 8 now. But having guys that have that versatility is important. How much pride do you take in that versatility, being able to play guard, tackle, center? I mean, in essence, you pretty much played it all up front. How much pride do you take in that?
Yeah, I take a lot, and I feel like it's not only something that you can take pride in, but it's also something that ends up helping you out on the back end. Just because it truly is a position where it's 5 positions playing at one. So if you can understand what everybody else is trying to do and the job that they actually have to do, it makes it easier to not only play. So understanding tackle makes it a lot easier to play guard, but understanding both of those, it kind of changes the game at center. And I know a lot of emphasis is put on in the league, like switching from right to left and stuff like that, and what that does for certain type of guys. So just hearing that type of talk, even at the highest level, and then it being something that I was able to do and have success with, it definitely, you know what I'm saying, it boosts your confidence a little bit. But you got to just be thankful to the game for real. I was lucky enough to have a couple coaches, like especially Coach Miller. When I first got to UNH, like I thought I was just gonna be a center. Like I thought that was just the end of the day. And he started traveling me my true freshman year, and he let me know, he was like, you got to be able to play all 3 of these interior spots at least. He was like, that's the least. And then if you can play tackle and stuff like that, that's even better. But he's like, if you're a left guard, you're also a center. If you're a right guard, you're also a left guard. And it was basically law. So I didn't really start looking at it as if it was a super skill basically until, you know what I'm saying, it started getting some traction around the league where you see somebody like Wirfs make the flip, and then, you know what I'm saying, and it's like, oh, this is something that's actually really, really difficult.
Yep, and it's important indeed. And of course, you had your pro day at Holy Cross on March 21st. Just some thoughts on your pro day. How do you think that went? And did you have an opportunity to get some feedback from NFL scouts?
Yeah, I think it went pretty well. It was a lot of guys there. It was a packed day, and I think we got a lot in with the time that we had. I do wish we got a little more indie time at the end, just because, you know what I'm saying, I think a lot of what I do is actually playing O-line. Not to say that my numbers or anything isn't something that I was looking forward to showcasing and stuff like that. It was just, I was really, really looking forward to just get some indie work in, just because I feel like that's where I really, really excel. But I think it was a very good day, not only for me, but for my teammates as well. It was me, Randall, and Lep working out at the same facility with Dana Berry down at Athletic Evolution in Mass. So it was just kind of a culmination of a lot of hard work. So it was good to see it come to fruition, PR'd in a couple events. And I actually just signed with my agent about a week and a half ago, so I wasn't super in tune with who was looking at me, who was checking for me and stuff after that. But this week is kind of starting to get a better idea.
And have you had an opportunity to speak to any coaches or through your agent scouts? Have you been able to at least get some feedback on.
Yeah. So it's actually tomorrow. My agent calling me tomorrow morning. He actually just texted me right before this interview. He said I'll call you in the morning. He's just waiting to hear back from a couple more guys. But I'm not as far as even if it's 10 people, even if it's just one team. I feel like all I really need is that one.
Right.
Just one person to give me a chance to compete for real. Yeah.
Have you now, obviously the goal is to get to the NFL and to either get drafted or to sign as an undrafted free agent, but would you consider playing in some of the other leagues also, like the UFL, like the CFL arena? Would you consider playing in those leagues if the opportunity might not immediately present itself in the NFL?
Yeah, that's something I've been weighing a lot, especially with the Arena League, just because they're actually playing right now. So it's something that like you kind of can look at them simultaneously. And then the CFL as well, it runs parallel to the NFL season basically at the same time. But yeah, the UFL and the CFL are the two, and especially talking with my agent, he was like, it's kind of easy to pivot that way, especially with the connections and stuff like that. It's a lot of overlap with the coaches. But yeah, the CFL is something that's always kind of intrigued me. I don't know why. It's something about it. I like how they appreciate the game up there. I think it's a lot of players that take pride in like being Canadian and stuff like that. We actually had a Canadian defensive back on my team when I was younger, and he actually plays in the CFL now. And I always remember him taking a lot of pride in just being Canadian and stuff like that. And I've never been up there, so I think it's definitely something that I would be open to if the opportunity presented itself. I know, Trevor Knight. I'm pretty close with TK. He played up there for a little bit as well as Santos. So I definitely been picking their brains just to see what the experience is actually like, how different the game really is. And a lot of what I've been hearing is it's different for some people, but not really in the trenches. It kind of remains the same. You got D linemen, you got O linemen, and you basically just try and get a job done while they try and stop you.
So now that you're immersed in football, I think it's fair that I can ask you this question. What do you love about playing football?
So at first, I can't lie, it was a good outlet for me. Like in high school and stuff like that. Like it kind of found me before I found it. But it challenges you as a person. Like you gotta be a strong, like strong-minded, physically strong, emotionally strong. Like it just challenges you as a person, and kind of getting out of the whole being around 100 guys all the time. I'm really starting to see how it sets you up as a man. Like just being able to deal with hard situations, learning how to work as a group, like learning how to communicate information to different types of people that got different types of understandings. And then just one thing that Coach Mack always had us, and it almost became like a running thing that got us through like the tougher times with just like FIO, like just figure it out. And it's like whether you're off the field or something, whatever, you missed the bus and you gotta get to class in 5 minutes, or it's like they run a cross blitz and you ain't seen it on tape. Like it really applies to everything. It's you know what I'm saying, staying out of that victim mentality and not really worrying what happened to you, but you know what I'm saying, how you gonna get yourself out of it or through it is kind of something that I think football teaches you in the realest way.
Obviously, football is important. It's a big part of your life, but you also need that balance off the field. What are some things you like to do when you're not practicing, lifting, or playing the game? What are some things you like to do to have that balance in life and get away from the game a little bit?
Yeah, so I actually grew up in a restaurant. My mom had a restaurant for like 30 years in downtown Lowell. If anybody watching know La Boniche, she basically had me in the kitchen since I was a little kid. So cooking is something that I, you know what I'm saying, whether it's like a Sunday night or Monday night, we would have Mondays off, like making myself something good, or in the off season, like finding little different things to make in the house when we got extra time. And then I'm also really like, I know everybody says music, but I'm really like a music head. Like I'll just, you know what I'm saying, I'll spend like a couple of hours just looking into new music and stuff like that. And then I appreciate any type of view. So if it's like a 20-minute drive to go see, you know what I'm saying, if there's like a little peak point where you can see the Boston skyline, or like a nice little lookout over some water, stuff like that, you know what I'm saying, just going to clear my head, throw a sunset in there, like I'll probably be out there for about 2 hours, man. I can't even lie, like just, you know what I'm saying, I'm pretty laid back. I don't really like doing too much, but
All right, and final question here for you, Osho. Appreciate the time again, my man. It's great to have you on. What is the team getting in you what is the team that drafts you or signs you getting in you as a player and as a person?
Yeah, I just first off, coming from UNH, like we use this word a lot, but it's just gritty. Like a lot of people not willing to do a lot of the stuff that I like doing out there. Um, you know what I'm saying? Not a lot of people is willing to, you know what I'm saying, just take to the coaching and do what needs to be done to get the job done. And I feel like that's something I pride myself on, being very coachable, and I think I pick things up very quickly. So whether it's a team that likes to run a combination hybrid offense or they ask their center to do a lot of things, I like loading my plate out there. I like having to tell everybody what to do, and if everybody's not on the right page, I take pride in that being on me. Um, and then I'm a very hard worker. I just feel like coming from a small school and everything like that, like chip on his shoulder doesn't really even begin to describe what we got coming from a school like UNH. You know what I'm saying? So um, any team that takes a chance on me, it's really not a promise to anything. All I'm looking is for an opportunity to compete. And if you just want somebody to come in and make the couple guys that you got in there better, work a little harder, I'm definitely the person that you're looking for. And as a person, I'm a team first guy. I'm very humble and I'm very honest with my teammates, not on a call them out type of way. But just I'm very honest with the situation because I'm very honest with myself. So I like to spread that throughout the team, and I think I deliver it in a positive manner that allows the team to not only come together but also come together and grow as one.
Well, Sean, I want to say thank you for taking the time, man. Your maturity, your body of work, it speaks for itself. And, when you talk about UNH guys being gritty, it's true. They are gritty. And the one thing about the CAA is it's a great conference and it's good competition week in and week out. And that competition breeds that grittiness and that toughness. And you guys have an abundance of it. So I want to say thank you for taking the time, my man.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We look forward to seeing where you end up. And we can't wait to write about it. We can't wait to root you on, man.
Yes, sir, man. I appreciate y'all for real. Y'all do a lot for New England football. They gotta stop sleeping on us.
Yeah, thanks, brother. Appreciate it, man. All right. Well, I'm going to go from one UNH Wildcat to another. We're going to go from Osho to tight end Kyle Lepkowski. He'll be on with us here momentarily, so stick around. I'll be right back with you in a couple minutes.